Alright, back on the Briggs & Stratton engine project here in a very small working space. Let's see what we can get done. Got the side case cover here. We're looking at putting in the new seal, all Briggs & Stratton parts. Putting in the new oil seal here in the case cover, and it looks like some sort of spacer in there. Okay, I see it. That one doesn't look worn. I don't know why I ended up with both of those. I guess it came as a kit. But the spacer looks fine. I don't need to replace that, so I'm going to leave that in. It sits right in here. I don't know if I can't see what kind of camera angle we got going on, but there's a spacer in here. This one, it's in the plastic bag here. It's peened over right there. It's fine. Like I said, there's not many hours on this machine, but because we took it apart, may have compromised the oil seal because of the rust on the output shaft of the engine. So we're going to go ahead and replace the seal alone. So you have to be careful with, you don't want to tear up the surface on the seal. And no, I don't have a seal puller. And there, seal's out. No problem. All right. No scratches to the mating surfaces for the seal. Let's go ahead and open the pack up here. Razor slice. There we go. And same oil we use in the motor. Use on here to just lube that seal a little bit. Makes it going a little bit easier. There we go. Get that lined up. Put the cap back on the oil before I knock the whole bottle over the way I'm going. Yes, I'm wearing safety glasses, which I'm happy for, because when I popped that seal out, that's exactly where it hit me, right in the safety glasses. So, get my little ball peens off the wall here. Okay, you want to put this in nice and even. Lightly tapping. And it wants to go just below the surface. So, what I do, I don't have a bearing seal set. Just go around the edges using the socket. It's not sharp on the edges or anything like that. And just set the seal down below the surface a little bit, which is where it was when I popped it out. There we go. You do not want the seal cockeyed in there, or it won't do its job. And I know the best way to do that is with a seal punch or seal set, seal placement tool, whatever you want to call it. But there you go. Seal is installed. Looks good. Nice and flat, nice and even. Alright, now, on the motors I used to assemble, just put a little grease in there. And I do not have grease with me, so let me go get some grease. I'll be right back. Got our tub of grease. No particular grease. Just a... it's kind of silly they call it waterproof grease. I don't know the grease that isn't waterproof. I know lubricants that are not waterproof, but not a grease. A little bit of Bel-Ray grease. Put that on the inside of the seal edge here where the shaft's going to pass through. Again, something I learned from building street bike motors, dirt bike motors, and quad motors. So, yeah, I know this is a Briggs motor. Maybe it doesn't like grease. I don't know. But to me, you grease the seals. Somebody will tell me otherwise, I'm sure. We got that greased up. What else we need here? No, not that piece, and not those pieces. They come later. What else we got? No, that's the valve seal, or the valve cover gasket. Aha. Crankcase gasket. Alright. Where's my blade? Be careful not to cut that gasket. Strange packaging. Well, at least they didn't fold it up and shove it in the box. That's a plus. And there it is. Okay. Peel it away. Pull that out. And there it is. Here's our crankcase gasket. Don't tear it. Apparently it's glued to this piece of paper. Very thin gasket. Surprised. There we go. And bring you over here. So here's the motor sitting here. Engine sitting here. Go ahead and let's see. Make sure I got this right. There we go. Place that on the crankcase cover. You got the pins, locating pins, and I'm still wrong, aren't I? Alrighty. Flip it over. I'm upside down. There we go. Locating pins. Place that on the locating pins. And I think we're good there. I did clean this crankcase out with some brake cleaner just to get all the gray sludge out of it. I've since poured some oil down on the crank, pulled the cam out, put some oil back in the cam hole on the other side, and also in the cam lobes, and everything's got a nice coat of oil on it, so it's not going to be starting up dry. Timing marks, top dead center compression, timing marks are lined up, so that should be good. And the shaft got cleaned up. Light, like I think 800 emery cloth, just to let a little bit of the rust off of there and off of here. So one thing I did forget, check the torque specs on these crankcase bolts. So that I'm gonna have to look at, and I'll get back to this in a little bit. All right, changing the camera angle up here a little bit. Got my tripod out here for the camera, so we can try to get some better shots here. Went and looked up torque specs. Looks like 22 Newton meters, which is what I'm used to doing metric torque specs, because building all the street bike motors and stuff like that before. So engines, you know, I really don't care. So we got our gasket on here, new gasket. One thing I almost forgot. And replace the governor here. That simply pops off. There's a shim behind it. Make sure you put the shim in, pop the governor back in, but that just simply pulls it off there. Got the little spacer shim in behind it. And I was told the governor looked fine, but I don't know. Once this thing over revved, I don't know if it's damaged at all or not, but we know the engine over revved because the governor is not right. Turns out it was a governor adjustment apparently. So go ahead, look through our parts. Here we go. Governor kit 693578. Unfortunately made in China. Thank you, Briggs. Okay, in the kit, center part of the governor, looks like it's down on the inside there. I'm starting to think, yeah, this was damaged. So this thing, there we go. All right. I'm gonna have to check that out because that does not look right. Nope, good to go. All right, again, new parts, they're dry. Rather than stick dry parts into an engine. and start cranking it over. Go ahead and put some oil in the back side of these, or any any contacting surface. Take a little brush, put oil on it, put it on any of the parts that are going to contact anything else, because like I said, these were cleaned with brake cleaner. So, and that's it. Some on that shaft there. Good to go. All right. Just push that down on. It will snap into place. There we go. Sorry you couldn't see that over there behind the engine, but I can't get multiple camera angles. But there you go. That's snapped down on. It actually feels a little better than the old one. Believe me, I'd rather have a metal one in there. I don't like plastic gears, but new one's in there. I got this mating surface in here. I'm going to put some oil in there on that spacer. I have some on the shaft itself. I'm going to put a little in there as well. Extra oil never hurt. Well, can't say that. Yes, it can. Extra oil can actually make you blow your crank seals out in some engines. But again, this is just the engine oil that we would use on this motor or on this engine. Either way. Yeah. There you go. The cam rides. In there. Let's put some right on the gears themselves. No dry starts here. There we go. Yeah, it's got a nice amount on there. You see, you can spin it. You see the little web forming off of it. Nice. All right. Everything here greased up, oiled up, whatever. Just making sure I'm not forgetting anything. Like I said, first time I've ever put one of these motors together. Timing is still correct. I want to make sure I don't turn that engine at all, because I want to check the valve clearance on there. There we go. Should fit down easily. If it gets stuck and you've got to hammer it on there, something's not right. So please don't hammer it together. I still have all my sockets out from when I took this apart, which is a good or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. But that's your oil fill tube or oil check tube, both. Snug that down. Also, what I did on here is the locator pins on this side cover. I put a little bit of lithium grease on them so they don't corrode up and bond to the aluminum. If you ever had to pry one of those off, like I said, this motor is not that old. It's an 04. The unit was sold in 06, so so I didn't have many problems with that. And I'm gonna have to go get my Loctite, which was in here, now is not in here, but it's over in my other shop. So, because I'm looking at these bolts and going, yep, there's Loctite on there, all right. So let's go get my Loctite. We'll do this upright. Or on these, I've done this with all these type of motors, single cylinders anyway. There it is. Valve clearance, okay. Got your two rocker arms here. Your adjustments could be made on your adjustments made here, but your feeler gauge goes in this side between the top of the valve and the rocker arm. Yeah, that's a little loose. Anyway, you know which way your motor turns. If you're not sure, in this case, give the pull starter a tug. Watch the pulley. And this pulley's turning backwards. Like, not backwards, but it's turning back that way towards the back of the motor. So, just grab that with your hand, start turning it. Watch the valves. That's your exhaust valve. If it's opening, exhaust is going out. Alright? There goes your intake. Rocker arm's moving. That means your intake is going. You're bringing fuel in. What you want is top dead center on the compression stroke, which we are on now since that valve closed. Looking down through the spark plug hole, which you can't see it, but I can. Watch for the top of the piston to come up. And there it is. Top dead center. On the compression stroke. These should both be loose. This one's extremely loose. This is where you set your clearances. I get you guys set up over here. Hopefully you can see this. Probably not. Maybe I'll turn the engine towards you guys a little bit more. This can be a little bit tedious. Well, only because I'm so darn picky. But what I'll be looking for here, feel the gauge. Valve clearance on these is 4 to 6 thousandths. It's kind of big. So hey, why not just pick it right in the middle, go 5. So intake and exhaust both going to be 5 thousandths of an inch. Feeler gauge. You can read that on there. 5 thousandths, 0.005. That's going to be going in over here on the top of the valve. As soon as I can find it. Let me see here. My feeler gauges are a bit bent up. There we go. Way too loose. It's still... yeah. You should have a tiny bit of drag on there. I can still move this rocker arm up and down with this in there. Exhaust side, 5 thousandths as well. I can't get that in there. So the exhaust valve is too tight, which means it never really closes all the way. Or soon enough. Can't get that in there. I wonder how small that is. Let's see how off that is. Go to my smaller feeler gauges here. I'm betting they have it set that thin. That's a 1.5 thousandths feeler gauge. 0.0015. 1.5 thousandths. We're talking not even a hair. And that feeler gauge won't go in there. So the exhaust valve is way too tight. So my guess is this thing's never even been closing. Yeah, that's no good. I'm going to have to get that straightened out. And here comes the tedious part. Now I've got to loosen these lock nuts or these jam nuts here. Adjust these to bring this a little further closed and a little further open. Like I said, this is going to be the tedious part, and I'm not going to sit here and bore you guys with it. So maybe I'll just put it on fast forward. Or maybe even edit the whole thing out. Let's see how it goes. There's the 5. Five goes in a little tight. You know what? Then it's probably at a 4. And like we said, it's only going to get more and more loose. Problem is my 4 feeler gauge, right there, broke off. But it's long enough, I should be able to see if I can get that in there. I'd say it's probably a 4. It's like we always said, 4 to 6, 4 to 6. See if a 6 goes. No go on the 6. So I'm happy. Okay. One of the things we did here, let me double check. Make sure this is the right one. Appears to be. New valve cover gasket. So let's get this old one off. And of course it's not going to come off in one piece. And we got a little cleaning up to do there. Where's my razor blade? Clean that off. Keep it out of our nice clean motor. Engine, whatever. Move it there. Yeah, some guys would go ahead and put this cover right back on, same gasket. Admittedly, I've done the same, but I'm already putting all this other time and effort into this thing. Once it's back together, I don't want to have to go back into this for a while. Part number 690971, rocker cover gasket. My mistake, not a valve cover gasket. But same all the way around. Somebody told me about spraying these things. Give you a better seal. I don't have any spray, so you get what you get. And just for fun, little dab of Loctite on each one of these. You only need a dab. That's why I got a little too much on that one, so I'll share it with the next one. On this engine, at least in this configuration for this machine, this snowblower, these go on this side. What did I do with it? There it is. Just putting these 2 finger tight. At least I thought. There goes my compressor. 2 more of these, like this. They have little studs coming out the top. I don't know if they're used for anything on this motor. Don't recall. So I'll find out when I go to put it back together. Alright, looks like the camera quit on me. Yeah, it looks like the camera quit on me just before finishing out the last little bit there with putting the valve cover gasket back on. I did manage to get this cover back on, no big deal, and there's another one that goes in here over the spark plug, but I didn't even get a new spark plug, so